Hunter Biden's legal troubles may finally be catching up to him. According to a Washington Post report, federal investigators said they have sufficient evidence to charge the president's son for tax crimes and allegedly falsifying documents on a gun-related purchase.
Federal prosecutors have been investigating Hunter Biden about his business dealings abroad, specifically those in China and Kazakhstan, as well as his payment from Ukrainian natural gas company Burisma. David Weiss, who leads the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office and was appointed by former President Trump, will decide whether to bring forth charges against Hunter Biden.
So the issue here is that, okay, look, he deserves due process and the investigation should proceed. Tax crimes, a gun-related thing, that sounds like the kind of stuff that like any prosecutor could get anyone for. You know, when they look hard enough, I mean, you know this from the work you do, if they look hard enough, they find something wrong with your taxes, and then your attempt to defend yourself is violating perjury or obstruction of justice or something.
The underreporting your taxes is the charge for I want you, but I don't know how else to get you.
Yes, exactly. And I don't really. We don't care if he should be allowed to purchase a gun. I support the Second Amendment. What we care about with Hunter Biden is whether he was leveraging his last name and his potential influence over his father and was trading that to foreign governments. And if there's financial impropriety there, if he was influence peddling. That's the potentially large criminal potential enterprise that he was involved in, that we want answers to that. If it's just, well, there's something wrong with his taxes, that's not enough. For those of us who think there might be something there, something more to Hunter Biden, something actually very seriously criminal in what he said, in the messages when he says to people like the big guy,
referring
to his father, that he has the big guy's ear, that's the worrisome thing.
Having his daddy's ear, that's the worry.
Well,
that's the worrisome
having his daddy's ear and speaking to foreign governments,
as opposed to the last
companies.
president whose children were in the administration.
No, they're not going to defend them. No, I don't have a single nice thing to say about the Trump children. But But the mainstream media has been relentlessly critical of the Trump children and the influence that they have and how they have used that. Jared Kushner, Saudi Arabia, etc. Deservedly so. We're critical of that as well on the show. But with Hunter, the question is, what about Hunter Biden? Was he up to the same things? And that is a question the media has had much less interest in forget answering and even asking, right? They didn't even want you to ask the question. They banned, they colluded with tech companies and the government itself, the intelligence officials, all saying, nothing to see here, don't look at this. Oh, Russia wants you to think this.
I guess here are all my complicated thoughts on the topic. First of all, I think this is a politics of distraction. That's just the truth, right? It's not that I don't think there's anything valid there, that Hunter Biden is guilty of having done something wrong. It's not that. I think Hunter Biden is probably guilty of the exact kind of behaviors most of his contemporaries are. And I think a lot of the people that are leading this charge against him and a lot of these Republican officials that are constantly clamoring and using his name know that. And I think it's disingenuous, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not somebody who jumps out the window to defend Biden, but I just think that there are far more serious things we can do than constantly using this son to attack him and go after him. That being said, if your position is, I'm always very critical of Democrats like Biden and like Nancy Pelosi and these people who come out with these tough on crime like positions, and we're very pro that when it comes to other people, but when it comes to their own family members, they're quick to protect them and hide them and not want them to experience the same kind of way to the criminal system. That being said, this is the kind of system we have where rich white people and people in positions of power and the president's son, despite the fact that there probably is sufficient evidence to charge him, we might not see it. And even if we do, we're not going to. I would be able to bet good money that I got that he's not going to do any jail time or anything serious happen if we even saw charges. He's going to get a fine, because that's what happens to people in this position. So I think if you want to be critical of how they're handling Hunter Biden or the fact that he hasn't been charged, or we feel like there's collusion, you have to be critical of the entire system that protects people like Hunter Biden, and that requires you to extend the same kind of criticism and focus you've put on Biden to the other characters and actors.
But I feel like I need an investigation that I need to know the scope of what he actually did. Because yes, if it's just drugs or buying a gun or something, then no, of course I don't want him to face jail time. I don't think
that's my thing.
We've
been on a Hunter Biden witch hunt for years now. Every time we turn in, and what we got. Laptop, he underreported on his taxes, something there wasn't quite all the information when he purchased the gun. That's what we got? That's what we got. It's giving witch hunt.
Well, but it took a long time for the media to even allow you to discuss. I mean, you couldn't share.
That's my point.
Why would share the story?
If we didn't really even have.
So we slow walked it.
But that's my point about something being a witch hunt. If we didn't even really have it, we're still here trying to, get information. What they think they've got sufficient evidence for, it's just something that, quite frankly, is not that. Does it do it for you? Is it giving you?
Well, I mean, I feel about it the same way I feel about the influence peddling going on in government. Finding out, Nancy Pelosi's husband playing the stock, profiting hugely from stock stuff. She doesn't want to ban. She don't want to prohibit lawmakers from trading stocks. They're Republican congressman, former the Georgia senator, and the other guy whose name escapes me. Who they come out of a meeting about how bad COVID's going to be. Right. First calls to their broker. That kind of corruption. That's influence peddling. That's I have I have a famous spouse. I have a spouse in Congress, or a brother, or something, or a father, and I'm allowed to profit. That is obscene. It is corrupt and it's gross. And that's what I want to know if Hunter Biden was doing. Yeah,
but this is my point. It's true of our entire system. We have a system in place. We have a criminal system where we disproportionately police, profile, prosecute, and incarcerate Black and brown people. We know that. And we have a system that actively protects and conceals white people, period, let alone of financial influence or importance. So it's, to me, again, are we going to be critical of an entire system that allows? There's a reason why federal prosecutors have the discretion that they have, so that they can avoid charging their friends and people that they know and people of import. And that's why we see this here. It's when you look at things like, even, let's take an example, RICO charges. RICO, what it actually means is 1 million underlying charges, just regular things. Honestly, it should be a conversation about double jeopardy, but you can charge people with RICO. But every year, as they continue to add new laws that qualify under this, they make exceptions for financial crimes and things that usually go to these kinds of players and white collar crimes, and they have an option. Under RICO, prosecutors can they can criminally pursue you, or they can civilly fine you. And you know what they do? Civil fines and those kinds of things for white people and people of importance, and then for Black people, RICO charges and incarceration. So I say again, the focus on Hunter Biden, yes. Is there a system in place that's benefiting Hunter Biden? Yes. Is Hunter Biden unlikely to receive any consequence or any punishment for what he did because of who he is and who he knows? Yes. But what I'm saying is, if you're not going to change an entire system or address or condemn the system that does that for rich white folk and people like him overall, like many of the people that are complaining and focusing on Hunter Biden, I don't really want to hear you saying too much about Hunter Biden because it's not genuine.
Okay, well, we should change the whole system. Mm-hmm. But we should also have accountability for the president.
Oh, for Hunter.
For everyone.
For this thing.
Also for the Republican senators and for the House Speaker and everybody who is profiting off, access they have to.
Robby, if you want to gather up Congress, I'm all for it. Let's do it.
I do want to gather them up.
Hunter
Biden has, by the way, denied any wrongdoing, saying in 2019, quote, "In retrospect, I think there was poor judgment on my part. I know I did nothing wrong at all, but it was poor judgment to be in the middle of something. It's a swamp in many ways." More rising after this.